Hey, says it's December 31st, 2023. Huh. What I should do today? Oh, I know. Let's make a DOS-cember video. We still have time, right? Yeah, let's do it. Hello everyone, I'm Alan Gracia, and this is our DOS-cember year-end spectacular episode. It definitely was not totally impromptu and unplanned. But anyway, I have this Dell Optiplex GX520. It was manufactured in October 2005, so it's 18 years old, not quite vintage yet. Also has Windows XP on a SSD, but I've also loaded in a SSD recently with MS-DOS 622 on it. That's where the DOS-cember part of this video comes in. It's running a 3 gigahertz Pentium 4 processor with hyperthreading, has 2 gigs of RAM, 3.5-inch floppy. There's a 5.25-inch floppy, which we'll get into in just a minute, and a not so anything special CD-ROM drive. So this is the box we're working with today, and I want to test out this 5.25-inch floppy drive. I do not have the correct cabling inside today to make this work. So we're going to test this cable, which I recently purchased off of eBay, because where else do you get this stuff? And we're going to try it out, and we want to see if we can get this working, because I'd like to be able to use this as a bridge machine, so I can make software floppy disks for something like an IBM 5150, 5160, 5170, something that I want to add to my retro collection, and I'll need to make boot floppies for. So getting this 360K floppy drive working would be very helpful, because it does have the 3.5-inch and USB support, so I can use it as a bridge machine to get those floppy disks made. But first, we got to see if we can get the BIOS and everything else to recognize this drive and see if it works before I can even try to write any new floppies for a machine that I don't have yet. So we're going to dive into this and see if we can make this work. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get the original floppy cable that's in here out so we can put in our correct cable. So let's see here. That's the drive for the 3.5 floppy. Pull that out and get this off the motherboard. Okay, so here's the floppy cable that we have. So it's got the pin connector for the motherboard and for the 3.5-inch floppy disk. It does have an edge connector on it. And then there's the twist here, which makes the cable work. So I was hoping that this would be drive A, the floppy disk, 3.5-inch, and then this would become drive B, the 5.25. But this doesn't really quite seem to work, and I'm not really sure why. So let's put this cable aside, and let's take a look at the replacement cable that I have. No harm, no foul. Okay, so this cable is a little bit longer than the cable I had in here, and it does have the pin connector that goes on the motherboard. So get that in focus. So we'll have that plugs into the motherboard on the Dell. And then for each of the floppy drive cables, it does support 2 floppy drives with this cable. We have 2 of the pin connectors for like the 3.5-inch floppy drive, but then it also has the edge connector here as well. So we got the twist, the edge connectors, another floppy drive. So what I'm going to try doing is we'll play around with A or B. I think we're going to have to make, I would like to have the 3.5-inch be A, and then the 5.25 as B, but this cable may not work, and there may be some jumpers and things we're going to have to mess with. So let's just try this out and see how it goes. All right, let's get some of these accessories and various cables and things out of here. And if we look at the PC, you can get the little flashlight going here. The system board is marked for the floppy drive cable connector, and we've got pin number 1 over here on the far, what I'll call the back, facing the back of the computer. And if you look at the cable that goes into the computer here, you'll see that there's a red stripe here, and that is indicating pin 1. So the cable is going to go in this way into the computer. And we still have power connected, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect power while we're messing around inside the machine. And let's get this cable loaded in. A little bit of a tight fit, but not too bad. Okay. So I wanted the 3.5 inch to be drive A, which is going to be the drive at the farthest end of the cable. So we're going to plug in this pin connector here, and then we'll try to loop this around so that we can get the edge connector on the 5.25 inch drive, and see if we can make that drive B. And naturally, these things are upside down, so we'll get those installed in just a minute. All right, and after repositioning the camera so we can get a closer look at what's going on here, this is the end of the cable, and because these are upside down, Dell has the 3.5 inch bay below the two 5.25 inch bays, so we're going to have to cable in the 3.5 inch first, and then upside down and around like this, to get to the 5.25. Now, if I had all the brackets and whatnot, I can probably, do something crazy like take the CD-ROM drive out, but then I wouldn't have a CD-ROM drive anymore. So we're just going to work with what we've got here, and let's get these cables in. So we'll start with the edge, the tail end connector with the twist. We'll get this plugged in and see if we broke anything or not, or if the floppy disk is still working when we're done. So carefully seat that in there. Okay, so we still don't have the 5.25 connected, but let's see how this works. This will boot into DOS 622. Doing a quick memory test. There's the CD-ROM drive, and then we're ready to go. So, all right, let's grab a floppy disk. Here's a actually a high-density floppy disk, 1.4 meg. Load it in, and dir a colon. And we're reading stuff off of the disk. So, okay, so we haven't broken anything. We've got the new cable in. We're reading the floppy drive just fine. Let's go ahead and shut everything off and get the 5.25 inch floppy cabled in. And after turning off power and repositioning the camera, we've got the cable. So here's the edge connector for that 5.25 inch floppy drive. We'll go over top on the 3.5 inch floppy. We're going to not talk about cable management because, hey, we're looking for the thing to work. We're not looking for pretty just yet, because that's some kinked up cable right there. Maybe we can tie that off or something like that, or maybe we can bring it around like this maybe. Sort of slide that in here. That kind of works. Keep our cables somewhat neat and tidy. All right, so we've already got power. We've got a Molex connector on the 5.25 inch floppy drive. We've got that edge connector in here. The 3.5 is connected. Let's plug power back in, and let's see what we get on the PC. All right, we just repositioned the camera. Let's try it again. Both floppy drives are connected. Let's see what we get. Starting MS-DOS, so far so good. All right. Well, that's not looking too good. The drive lit up, but it gave me a fail. So we might have some cable shenanigans to deal with here. All right, we'll say retry, and it immediately fails. All right, well, I'm let's take a look at that cabling, and let's go ahead and flip that around. I'll make the 5 1/4 inch floppy drive the end-most connector, and then this will be the second for the 3 1/2 inch drive. So let's go ahead and flip those cables around. Okay, the camera's been repositioned, and go for the second attempt. Okay. Put the floppy disk in for 3 1/2. Now you have a floppy disk here, 5 1/4. This is a single-sided double density. So we'll be able to format this for whatever that drive can read. I know it's not a 1.2 megabyte floppy, so we're good to go here. So we'll put the arm down, and let's see how much trouble we can get into. DIRA. We got a fail. We'll retry. There are no floppy lights coming on, so that's not a good sign. And we'll try DIRB, and negative. Neither drive lit up for either one of those two things. So that's not looking too good. I think what we'll do next is maybe we'll pull the 5 1/4 inch floppy drive out so we can set it on the desk next to the computer. We can watch to see if any of the heads are moving or anything else is going on with that drive, because again, the drive itself may not be operational. So let's move things around. I'll get the drive out and reposition the camera, and we'll take a look at what that does. All right, so I removed the Dell faceplate. This just comes right off. And then you're able to use these levers here, and that just lets you slide the drive out itself. So here's the floppy drive. It's a, you see it's a Matsushita. It's a JVC drive. And we see it's got, I don't know if it's a part number of 071218. Not sure if that's a date code or if that's just a serial number or something. Let's see what else we see on here. It's got a little stepper motor. It's kind of hard to see the date codes on here. So here's the drive. Let's see if we can get some power to it. Put this right here. And we'll borrow the Molex from the CD-ROM drive since we're not using that at the moment. And hopefully we can get this to sort of reach down. Put the drive on its side. And reconnect the Molex. All right. That is precariously perched, but I think that works. Right? It's in frame. We can see what's going on here. There we are. And we'll plug the PC back in. And let's just see if anything happens when we turn the computer on. So with the power on to the floppy drive and the door closed, there's nothing spinning. There really seems to be nothing going on here. So that's not a great sign. Yeah, so the data cable's not connected, so we're not going to be able to do anything with it. Let's turn off the computer. And we'll go ahead and use the leftmost edge connector. And that goes on this way. Power up. There's no activity light. The door is closed. Nothing is spinning. I don't recall if that's normal for 3 1/2 inch or 5 1/4 inch floppy drives or not. And if I do a DIRA, it immediately fails. Again, no activity light. Just for fun, DIRB, and also fails immediately. So it's not looking too good for this floppy drive. While this cable might be right, this drive may not be working. That's the crapshoot you take when you buy things on eBay or AliExpress or whatever you have here. So we can try one more thing. We can try that original cable again, because it does have that edge connector, but I'm not feeling like this is going to work either. Let's go ahead and try that out now. All right. Set the drive off on the side. Attempt to remove this very tight cable. Put the original cable back in. And then we'll bring in the floppy drive. We'll connect it here. And we'll give it power. It's precariously perched on my desk. Go ahead and plug it in. Turn it on, and let's see what we get, if we have anything change. So, as the PC starts up, no activity light, no disk spinning, the heads are down. Yeah, I'm not thinking this floppy drive is any good. We know the floppy controller works because we were able to originally read the 3.5-inch floppy disk that was in there. DIRA fails. DIRB also fails. So that is not looking too good for this year-end DOS-cember holiday spectacular. But hey, it's a PC. What do you expect? It's not like it's a Mac or anything like that. All right, it's been about an hour since we last had the camera rolling. I did find the JU455-5-AAG version of the manual for this floppy drive. We can see right here, it's a Panasonic JU455-5-AAG, and someone did upload this manual to the internet. Thank you very much. It was very difficult to find. Lots of other variations of the JU455 drive out there. But if we scroll through all of this technical data, and this is some really good stuff for things I don't understand electrically about this drive. But if we get down here, there is section 4, customer installable options, and this section talks about some of the jumper switches that are on this drive. So if we take a close look at table 4-1, we can see things like drive select, if it's the first drive, or if it's drive 2, 3, or 4, and some other things. So what I've gone ahead and done, and I'll just reposition the camera in a second, is I've made my best guess at setting up these jumper settings on the floppy drive that we have. It's a little, the table makes sense whether a jumper is open or shorted. So, for example, if we're looking at drive select 2, 3, 4 here, that we want to have DS pins 2, 3, and 4 open, and if we wanted to make this the first drive in the system, we use DS1 and short it by putting a jumper on it. Well, using that sort of that methodology to go things like enable drive select in a multi-drive system, which is what we want. So DS needs to be shorted, as we can see right over here. If we want to have the motor come on when the drive is select, well, MS needs to be shorted. The interesting thing about DS, MS, MM is they're all, and this MX, they're all kind of like jammed together, and I can't quite figure out where one of these jumpers starts and one of them ends. So I've made my best guess as to what we're supposed to do there. And I've gone ahead and reconfigured those jumper pins. All right, so I've repositioned the camera and zoomed in on the relevant portion of the drive circuit board here. And what I've gone ahead and done is made sure that the drive select jumper, which you see right here, drive select 1, 2, 3, and 4, that none of these are shorted. So I've pulled the jumper off of here. And then if you look, let's see if we can sort of position this a little bit here. If you look right here, you've got those jumpers that I was talking about. I was having a hard time trying to figure out what the heck they were doing. This is the MX, the DS, the MS, and the MM. Like I said, they all kind of run together. It's kind of hard to see right. Kind of hard to see right in there, but you can see those labels here. So I've taken my best shot, and I've gone ahead and shorted them all. And let's go ahead and put the drive back in the computer, and we'll see if that makes any difference. Okay, the drives are loaded back into the computer. I've gone ahead and cabled them back up, put the faceplate back on. They're back and mounted, ready to go. Fingers crossed. Let's see if we get anything different this time. Go ahead and power on the PC. The CD-ROM drive seeks. The 3.5-inch floppy drive seeks. Once again, I do not see any disk activity on the 5 1/4, which is not boding well for us. Okay. So here's the floppy disk I've been testing with. Let's go ahead and put it in. 3.5 DIRA. I got a fail immediately. How about a DIRB? Insert diskette. Okay. So we'll insert a diskette. Where'd my diskette go? Here it is. Close the door. And immediately fails as well. So that is not looking good. Power off the PC. Open the door. Eject the disk. I'm going to pull off that edge connector for that 5 1/4. We'll come back up. We'll try it again. Just also want to reiterate that the zip drive you see at the top of the PC there is disconnected. It is not powered up, not connected. There's no driver software loaded into DOS. All right, one last time. DIRA. The drive light's on, and we get the data. And obviously, we can't seek to be because the edge connector is pulled off. So what I think that's going to tell us is the cable is okay, right? The ribbon cable we installed today is okay. The 3.5-inch floppy drive is okay. But when that edge connector in power is on the 5 1/4-inch floppy, bad things happen. So let's think about that for a minute. What could be going on here? Well, it's entirely possible that this Optiplex GX 520 from 2005 was never designed to support 2 floppy disk drives. So that's entirely possible, that it's just cannot handle a second floppy drive. Also, when we try to turn the machine on to post, and the computer looks to seek through the floppy drives to see what boot devices it has, the 3.5-inch LED comes on, but never the 5 1/4. The CD-ROM drive seeks for a minute, and then it goes ahead and boots off of the C drive. So the fact that we don't ever get that red activity light on the 5 1/4 means that there could be something electrically wrong with the drive. That's entirely possible. Or something else. This could just be a really bad cable. Maybe I'm just not understanding how the cables work. 1993 Alan knew how to do this, where 2023, almost 2024 Alan may have forgotten in almost 30 years of IT work how 5 1/4-inch drives are supposed to work. Well, I think that's going to just about do it for this DOS-cember floppy drive event, mostly because I'm out of options. Either I'm missing some critical piece of information, I possibly have an electrically bad floppy drive, or this Optiplex may not support multiple disks. I'm not really sure what the problem is. It could be still jumper issues, but again, because without that activity light on Seek when you do the boot up, I'm thinking there's actually something wrong with this floppy drive. So with that, I'm going to call this video done. Thanks for sticking with me if you're still watching this disaster of a DOS-cember extravaganza, and hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, Happy New Year, and thanks for watching.